All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is the moment of silence. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Mason.
Present.
Trustee Reinders.
Present.
Trustee McNaughton.
Present.
Trustee Consolino.
Present.
Trustee Fialco.
Present.
Trustee Stylen.
Present.
Mayor Knightsky-Troicki.
Present. We don't have any community recognition for tonight. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialco?
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton? Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the November 13th, 2024 Village Board meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Trustee
second it.
Reinders and Trustee Fialco, any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Abstain.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is public comment. Sarah Lazara. Is your microphone on? Is it green? Is there a green button?
Now it's green.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. So I'm
Thank you.
Sarah, husband Phil, daughter Bobby. We are residents of Homer Glen, and we are looking to secure a special use permit to open a piercing studio in Bell Tower Plaza. We currently own a tattoo and piercing studio in Addison. Rising Phoenix has been in operation since 1998 and under our ownership since 2013. Our current studio holds a license with the Illinois Department of Public Health, and we have a 100% clean record with no violations. Our mission is to provide a safe piercing experience in a family-friendly environment. As medical professionals and with our experience in the industry of piercing, we can confidently operate and provide piercing services at the highest level of safety. We have a firm grasp and understanding of how to create a sterile environment for piercing. We hold a contract with the sterilization monitoring company, and we also use a medical waste disposal company to handle our sharps. We understand that there may be concerns and negative connotations with the piercing studio. We want to be clear, we are a family-focused business. I hold 2 degrees. One is a special education teacher, the other is a nurse. I currently work in the OR at a local trauma center, part-time. My husband Phil is a former firefighter, paramedic, and veteran. Bobby is at Hadley Middle School, and she is in the Mustang Band, Symphonic Band, and Mustang Buddies. If there are any questions or concerns, I would be happy to address them. We are hopeful to be able to establish our business in Homer Glen and be active participants in our community.
Thank you. You're on the
Thank you.
agenda tonight as L3. We'll call you up then if we have any questions, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Christy Nazar?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christy Nasser, Crystalline Farm, 143rd Street, 14862 West 143rd Street. I'm coming to you today because somebody called me today. He said he's hired by Will County, and he had sent me the packet last year regarding the widening of 143rd and the acquisition of land that's along 143rd Street. My question to everybody too is that I thought this was kind of on hold, and we're trying to save 143rd Street. He caught me at a great time. I had had a giant punchki and a giant cup of coffee, so I was sugared and caffeined. And I said, well, I said, you better sit down, Edward, because I said, I'm going to give you some points of why I think it's a wrong thing to do for 143rd Street, which I gave him all the different points. And he said, wow, I didn't know all those things. And he said, I just want to let you know I don't have skin in the game. I'm just here to say whatever. But I was quite surprised because he said now that they're trying to find out what's going on with 143rd Street and what people along 143rd Street were willing to start selling their pieces of property for the widening. So my question is, I thought everything was still on hold. I'm hoping that's where it is. I come kind of also, I don't know if you guys knew Glen Bormet. He lived to the west of me, and he had a farm there too, and he loved animals and the wildlife that went through there. And he used to go to all the different meetings that he could before he had cancer. He passed away last week, and his wife passed away last night. But I'm here kind of at the same time kind of representing them because he loved the land, and we would have chit-chats about the wildlife going through, and that once it gets widened, we're going to just decimate all the wildlife and the trees along here too. So I just want to make you guys aware that somebody from Will County is telling this Edward Kalina to start talking to everybody along 143rd Street, and I hope it's on hold right now. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you say that last name again? Edward what?
Edward, it's Kalina, I believe it is. It's Kalina. He had sent me a packet last year about everything, but a lot of people didn't receive packets from him. He's hired through Will County about the acquisition of the land along 143rd Street.
Okay.
So-
Would you mind providing us a copy of that packet unless we have that copy, which I'm not aware
I
of?
thought I gave you a copy of that. I thought
I
someone had it.
don't
So-
have one.
Yeah, I gave it to some, yeah, I will. I mean, I don't
Okay,
have it with me, so.
Great, thank
okay.
you. I'm so gonna butcher this name. B-O-G-U, yeah. Hi.
Bob, that's gonna be.
Bob, that's not what it says, just so everybody knows.
I am here the third time about the building shed before the house.
Okay.
This is the very difficult situation for me because the lot is very specific, probably only one lot in this area that's in the rear, like a very low area, which I am observe the water after the raining for them. It's like almost 1 acre.
You're on the agenda too tonight, correct?
Yeah.
You're number 2?
Yes.
2. You know what? I think it'd be better service if
Yeah.
we called you then.
Yeah.
Make sense? Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
for me
good.
too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to reports and communications from President and other officers. Joe Baber, you're up first.
Thank you, Madam President. Reporting on behalf of the Behavioral Health and Addiction Recovery Committee, the committee is hosting a panel question discussion with healthcare professionals on March 29th between 10 and noon here at Village Hall. You can get more information regarding this event on the Village's website, and more information will come before you at the next board meeting. I realize this is election season and candidates feel the need to get the word out through the use of signs. The amount of political signage in Homer Glen has become obnoxious. For whatever reason, it seems the thought process is the more signs, the better results for a candidate. The problem we have here is where the political signs are being placed. There are very specific guidelines we have posted on our social media sites and sent out directly to the candidates. Unfortunately, it seems the very candidates running in the next election cannot follow the Village of Homer Glen regulations regarding signage. We continue to receive complaints regarding the location of these signs. I am asking all candidates, to please follow the sign regulations, especially as it pertains to village-owned property, and to please correct any signage which do not meet these regulations. The village does have the ability to issue citations for non-compliance of sign regulations. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to trustees. Trustee Consolino?
Hello. Okay. We have a lot going on right now for the Environment Committee with events and initiatives that are coming up. Spring and summer are our most busy season. In April, we want everyone to keep an eye out for the mid-April free tree seedling handouts that we do here at the Village Hall for Earth Day and Arbor Day. We'll have that posted on the village website when it comes and also on social media, but that's usually around mid-April that we hand those out. We will also start accepting applications for the annual Big Tree Awards next month. And as always, you can nominate your own tree, your neighbor's tree, or a public parkway tree. We will be changing our regularly scheduled monthly meeting for April to accommodate a special energy conservation and efficiency presentation. It will be from Will County Green, and it will be on Earth Day this year. So this will take place on Earth Day, Tuesday, April 22nd, here in the boardroom at 5:30 p.m. Our normal scheduled meeting would have been on April 4th, so all are welcome to attend. For May, we have Friday, May 2nd will be our spring stargazing event. Hard to believe winter's all over now. That will be held here at the Village Hall and in Heritage Park from 7:30 to 10 p.m. Saturday, May 10th is the annual Village Kite Festival. The Environment Committee and Homer Glen Junior Women's Club will partner together, as usual, for another free milkweed seed handout. It's always very popular. Saturday, May 17th is our committee's annual youth seedling event at Heritage Park to assist with our raised planting beds, and we also do take-home seedlings for the children from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Registration will become available online probably with the beginning of April. So Village's spring newsletter has been pushed back until May, but when the newsletter comes out, it will include lots of information regarding updated and approved recycling guide from Homewood Garbage Disposal, which we include as a perforated back page to the newsletter so residents can remove it, cut it out, and hold on to it. We'll also provide more information on the Memorial Tree and Marker Program, and it will include some of the upcoming Environment Committee dates and initiatives. Lastly, the Environment Committee met last week, and we again discussed amendments to the Village's tree preservation ordinance. Hopefully, these amendments will help to protect our heritage trees and assist with our Village's mission of keeping community in harmony with nature. Having a healthy environment promotes a healthy community. The amendments will be presented to the board via workshop at the March 26th Village Board meeting. And I also want to thank Trustee Stylen and staff members, Director Christopher Gruba, and Village Planner Taylor U. Darby in assisting us with this process. Also, that came today here at the Village, Homewood Disposal gave us a bunch of garbage can stickers for what's recyclable and what's not, and they also left handouts for the lithium batteries, so stuff that cannot be thrown into recycle bins. Otherwise, they explode in the garbage trucks, and we had some problems with that the last couple of years. So if anybody would like some, they'll be up here at the end of the meeting. We'll also keep some at the hall. But that's all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stylen?
No report.
Trustee Reinders?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I would just like to say that at our last Parks meeting, we have finalized the revisions for Heritage Park. With that said, we had last year asked that we can have a special meeting, an additional Parks meeting during the month to be able to complete that task. Since that's completed, what we would like to do is now eliminate those special meetings, and then in the event that we really do need to discuss something pertaining to Heritage Park, that we will actually hold a special meeting. So we'd like to recommend that we eliminate those Friday meetings. Also, for admin and finance, there will not be a meeting on April 2nd. We will be holding that meeting on April 16th. And at that time, John Sawyers will be presenting the committee with the budget. So we look forward to that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Fielko?
Yes, thank you. There's only one thing I wanted to mention today, and that has to do with the streetlights. The streetlights, I had been asking about that and how our program and how we can develop our program to be a little bit better and more proactive than reactive. But the update on that I got today, and I didn't even know this, we've got 744 streetlights in Homer Glen, 44 in Homer Township, and as of March, there's been 7 outages reported. So there's a certain time factor that they have to be able to, I think that's a window of 7 to 10 days, somewhere in there. But that's usually when it gets repaired in that time factor, unless there's something else that would cause them not to be able to do that. And I'm guessing underground outage to a light instead of a bulb or one of the sensors would be one of those reasons. The other thing with that is if the street light belongs to Homer Glen, or I mean to ComEd, Homer Glen will call ComEd if that call comes in and we notice that it is a street light that belongs to ComEd. Homer Glen does call that into ComEd. So that's the update for the street light. And the other thing is if you do see a street light outage because of our lighting ordinance, one light goes out on your block and it can make the whole block look pretty dark. So the thing is you can report it on that front page of homerglenil.org. There is a little window to put in an electronic report also. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, no report from the Economic Development Committee at this time. Thank you.
Trustee Mason?
Yes, first I'd like to welcome the two new businesses that held their ribbon cutting today, and and welcome them to Homer Glen. Shakes Ahoy on 143rd and Golden Oak Drive was one of them. Live Strong Therapy on 159th and Crystal Creek Drive. Very nice facility. If I had a injury, work-related, something like that, the staff is very professional. It's a beautiful facility, so I wanted to welcome them. I also wanted to thank EMA and Ron Cuss yet again for helping to secure yet another grant, for this time for $3,000 from ExxonMobil and the Friendly Neighbor Grant. Ron does all this stuff. It's extra. It's up above and beyond his own duties, but never asked for anything in return, and we truly appreciate that. Also, he's been keeping us updated on the storms in our area, keeps me in tune with that. I guess we are a storm-ready community when you get messages from Ron continuously about what's transpiring within the village itself. He gives a vigorous storm report, and there is one that's coming up on Friday and Saturday that will hit our area and impact the region. And they have very high confidence that it'll be of strong winds, non-thunderstorm type storm, at least on Friday in the afternoon. And this will continue straight through to Saturday night. So plan accordingly. Please secure your lightweight outdoor furniture and decor. Also take precautions when driving in open areas or exposed fields. There is a chance of a severe thunderstorm warning as well on Friday night. Just want to make everybody aware of that. On March 5th, we also held our public safety and services. I want to thank Lieutenant Robert Denny, as always, for providing us with plenty of information and guidance. When he's not here at the village, he handles traffic. There has been a lot of complaints of blowing stop signs and speeding in the village. There was 257 calls generated in February to the Will County Sheriff's Department. We had issued 214 tickets in February, and 171 of those consisted of speeding tickets. There's also been a lot of complaints of ATVs and dirt bikes lately. Tis the season, I guess, spring. We have some plans. I've been working with the village manager on that. EMA talked to, like I said, Lieutenant Denny on that. So we have some plans to attack that, and there will be a crackdown on that activity. So I'm just making everyone aware, and tickets will be issued and citations as well. Stage 3 of the Bell Road project is beginning. We have a detour notice today, starting tomorrow, 313 Meadowview Lane with storm and sewer. I believe that they're trying to get that put in, so they'll be cutting across the roadway. That entrance at Meadowview Lane will be closed tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. If you need to access the subdivision at Meadowview, that will be on Woodland Drive, and there will also be detour signs erected. So, thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Great report. Clerk Bilski?
Yes, reporting for the upcoming April 1st, 2025 consolidated election. Sample ballots were available today on the Will County Clerk's website. Early voting will start across Will County on March 17th. All vote by mail ballots will be mailed on March 17th. Homer Township has early and grace period voting hours that will begin March 17th through March 21st, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and then March 24th through March 28th, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And I wanted to give a shout out to Homer Glen resident and LTHS student Claudia Heaney. She was named the 2024-2025 Daily Southtown Wrestler of the Year, two-time state champion.
Nice. All right, village attorney.
Yes, so the mayor had asked that we give a quick update just today, just to let the residents know what's going on with the current House bill in regards to the eminent domain on 143rd Street. As we reported
last year, originally there was a Senate bill. That Senate bill died in session, meaning that it kind of like tabled. When you hear the trustees here table a particular piece of legislation or a petitional motion, it gets tabled for consideration for a later point. So that died in session back last year. This year, in January and February, the House took up that bill. A new spokesman, a new sponsor for the bill took it up, and that bill currently is House Bill 1397. This House bill, you can find more information about the bill and its particulars on the website. So this is nothing that the village is doing, meaning that we're not the ones promoting this bill. This is Springfield. So Springfield, a bunch of representatives put together this House Bill 1397, and it has recently been assigned to what they call an executive committee. Just real quick, unlike our U.S. legislatures and such, where bills get initiated in the House of Representatives, in Springfield, in our state governance, you can initiate them in both spots. Either the Senate could initiate a bill or the House can initiate a bill. So in this particular instance, House Bill 1397 was taken up. The committee, I'll tell you who the committee chair is too here real quick. Let's see here. Yes, this is Representative Walsh. Larry Walsh. Again, this is House Bill 1397. It's currently an executive committee. They had two committee dates. They had one on March 5th at 10 a.m. and they also had one today at March 12th. It's my understanding that a whole slew of residents here from Homer Glen and elsewhere have filed what they call witness slips, which when it goes to the committee chair will read the bill, and then the committee chair will also read the proponents of the bill by way of witness slips. And right now, currently, there are 13 proponents of the bill. Then they also announce the opponents of the bill. So most of us know, but in case we don't, proponents are those that are in favor of a bill. Opponents are those that oppose a bill. So in this particular instance, for Homer Glen residents that do not want the expansion, you'd be rooting for the opponents of the bill. So the number of folks that have filed witness slips in opposition to this particular bill currently stands at 205. So there's quite a few. Roughly 95% of the folks that have submitted witness slips are in opposition to this expansion. Okay. We don't have tea leaves. We don't know what the committee's going to do with it next, but certainly there's a whole slew of opposition that's out there. Secondly, some of those folks that submitted those witness slips may have also submitted via facsimile or email remarks, basically a statement, which gets read into the record. I believe some of the elected officials and perhaps other residents have done that. I can share with you that I do know for a fact that the mayor personally had, on behalf of her office as the mayor, submitted her own remarks that were accepted by the committee, and we had forwarded those back before March 5th. So those will be, and they will remain of record before the hearing and moving forward. So when it goes to a committee, it remains to be seen what the committee is going to do with it from this point. Certainly, we're hopeful that they will take a look at all these folks in opposition and conduct more inquiry into why so many people oppose this expansion. Okay. From there, assuming arguendo that does not happen, it'll then get referred to another committee or gets referred back to the House for another reading for a vote on it, okay? That's not what this is telling me right now is what happened. We don't know what happened post the hearing today, but that'll be TBD, to be determined, and we'll notify you on our website as to what action the executive committee took in Springfield as soon as that information becomes available, okay? Secondly, we were also asked just for a quick monitoring of the current lawsuit that's ongoing, and let me quickly pull this up. The current lawsuit that's ongoing between a bunch of Will County commissioners against the executive, Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant. That is case number 2024-CH000084. That was last up on January 30th, 2025. And there, if we recall, back a couple of hearings back, the court had denied the appointment of a special state's attorney. The Will County commissioners that had brought this action against the executive had filed through their attorneys a motion requesting counsel be appointed, meaning legal counsel be appointed to represent the Will County Commissioners in this action. Initially, the court granted it, believed that that would be appropriate. The Bertino Durant's lawyers filed a motion seeking to reconsider that. The court granted that motion to reconsider and then denied the appointment of the special state's attorney. So the long and the short of it is the attorneys that were handling that case are still handling that case, from my understanding, and it's next up before the court on April 3rd, 2025 at 9 a.m., courtroom 902. Now, it's important to note that sometimes these dates and these dockets and these times change. I know so many residents it's on the forefront of everybody's minds to be there and to follow these cases, and I encourage you to do so. What you can do is you can check with the clerk's office, Will County Circuit Court Clerk's office, a day or two before, just to make sure that the hearing dates haven't changed. As a lawyer, sometimes these dates get changed and I don't even get it, right? So I'm sharing with you that it makes sense to check a couple days before, just to make sure that that date, April 3rd, 2025 at 9 a.m., has not been changed, all right? So that's that in regards to the 143rd information that I was asked to share with you. Secondly, Illinois American Water. So we kind of have four major topics that the Village Board of Trustees, the village president and staff are looking as high priority items. The second one is Illinois American Water. As we all know, Illinois American Water, as we talked about previously, the Illinois Commerce Commission, unfortunately, is the agency that has sole exclusive jurisdiction dealing with issues of rates before the consumer rates regarding the water. The ICC is the only spot where those complaints can be made, unfortunately. I can share with you, though, that we have had consultations with the Illinois Attorney General's office, where we've taken issues not specific to rates, but other issues, customer service issues, billing issues, and what have you. And through the cooperation of the village board, the village president, and staff, we've put together a spreadsheet of hundreds and hundreds of folks from Homer Glen that have had major issues outside of rates with Illinois American Water. We are in consultations with the Illinois Attorney General regarding this. There's no guarantee that the Illinois Attorney General is going to do something with this. However, we as the village attorneys, this board, the village president and staff are doing everything they can do to bring that information to any agency that could potentially help the residents in regards to this. So that's ongoing. There's other things that currently our office, the law firm of Peterson, Johnson & Murray, is doing in conjunction with staff, but those things we can't really share about right now. Those are for executive session because those would be privileged. We don't want the parties that we are potentially in opposition to, Illinois American Water and others, to know what our playbook is. So that I can't share with you orally as much as I'd like to. That I have to share with the board in executive session so they know that where we're at. But rest assured, this board, the village president and staff are working hard to try to help you through these troubling times. Secondly, Lockport. So this is another one of the key focal points that the board, the village president and staff has, and that's the village of Lockport in regards to an IGA that we have with them. As many of you know, we have an intergovernmental agency agreement with Lockport to treat certain wastewater in certain areas of the village of Homer Glen through 2030. They are not interested in treating that waste post-2030. We understand that. It was our position, the village's position, that they were in breach of that agreement. We sent the letter off to them. They then responded, and they responded saying, as lawyers always do, denying our position that they were in breach. And what happened thereafter is really, really positive. Both the village and the city's engineers, village managers, attorneys, mayors, all got together and said, you know what, let's try to work this out collaboratively to resolve it short of litigation, okay? And we've had multiple discussions with them. Our last discussion with them was last week. It was very positive. We look forward to, and we are hopeful that this matter resolves here shortly. I can't give an exact timeline when it's going to resolve, but I'm hopeful within the next 60 days we'll have something to bring before this board and to vote on before the residents. That's in regards to Lockport, and I thought there was one more major thing that we were working on. Yes, I was asked to review, or our office has been asked to review the 2025 sidewalk curb and bid package. I know Mr. Woods has spent a lot of time putting this together. We are close to finishing up our review of this. There are some specifications that were included and that bid package that our office had requested the backup on, just to make sure that it's spelled out specifically in the contract. And once that's provided, we'll be able to finish our review. There are several other agreements that we've been working on, but it's too premature to give any sort of report on those because we have yet to complete our review. So, Madam Mayor, that would complete our review.
I do just have one question, if you could clarify. A resident had asked or had stated that she had received a packet. What is your recommendation if residents along 143rd Street are receiving these packets?
So I'm unsure what that packet is because I have not put my eyes on it. What I would do is this, potentially share it with, well, if people are contacting you, very likely they're contacting you because they're trying to finish or they're trying to convey what they call a good faith offer. The way eminent domain law works is this. The condemning authority, the authority that wants to take your land, the sovereign that's taking your land, is required under Illinois law to make a good faith offer to purchase, and if they don't do that, it's grounds to challenge eminent domain all going forward, okay? So we call it in law the sine qua non. This is the threshold thing that they must do, without but for. They have to do this. The threshold element is they have to make a good faith offer to you. My suspicion is that packet of materials that they're providing you seeks just that, trying to engage with you to make a good faith offer in an effort to establish their statutory requirement of conveying that offer to you. That's my suspicion. Without looking at it, and I'm not your attorney, unfortunately, so I can't give you legal advice with respect to it. If it was the village, that would be, and the village has land too. As we shared back when we gave our presentation, when our law firm gave our presentation to everyone, to those that were interested in attending, on what eminent domain is on 143rd Street, that was one of the big things that we pointed out. So you can certainly talk with your own private attorney. I wish I could help you with it, but unfortunately we can't. But suspicion tells me that it's more likely than not trying to establish that good faith offer between you and them.
What do you want to say? Can you explain what happens if they just ignore the packet?
Oh, so again, the village has land too along 143rd Street that more likely than not, Will County Department of Transportation is going to be seeking to condemn. So I can share with you what I would do as the village attorney in the event that the mayor or one of the trustees picked up the phone and said, Mr. Pasquale, what do we do? Should I ignore this communication? And that answer, and I answered it this way back in October, and I'm answering it now. Absolutely not. Do not ignore a communication from someone representing the Will County Department of Transportation or Will County in this facet of the case. Reason being is this. They can simply say that they've reached an impasse, that they've tried to communicate with you, they've tried corresponding with you, and you're just disinterested. It would be futile, because that is a defense that they have down the road to not making a good faith offer, is saying that it would be futile, that they've made their attempts valiantly, and for reasons unknown, the owners of record have failed to respond. So 100% you have to respond to that. Well, I would tell the village that they must respond to it, put it that way. I can't tell you what to do now.
Can you give us the case number again for April 3rd, please?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the courtroom number.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. My computer screen just shut down. Okay. It is 2024, C as in Charlie, H as in Hilo, 000084. And that is in courtroom 902, April 3rd at 9 a.m. Yep.
Well, thank you for that report.
You're welcome.
Public safety officials. All right, I don't have a lot. Signage, yes. As everybody knows, the county, I assume, had gone down 143rd Street and had removed a lot of signs because that's a county road. Anything within their right-of-way or however they foresee what their property is or whatnot. I believe that they had removed the signs. So if anybody has questions, because I know we've got some phone calls on signage on 143rd Street. They also have Bell Road, so if you had any on Bell, same thing. People have been asking about graffiti at Founders. That's not a village thing. Founders is a township matter, so if you have questions about the graffiti at Founders, I would suggest that you contact the township office and let them know. And then I've also received a lot of questions regarding people impersonating trustees. We're going to be looking into that. I didn't think there was anything that, I mean, I would hope people wouldn't do that, but unfortunately, I guess there's someone impersonating a trustee, so we are looking into that as well. I think, oh, I just wanted to say thank you to Sarah, the woman who came up and spoke earlier. Thank you. You had worked with Jackie, which is Addie's mom, and I saw that, so I thank you for that. All right, we're going to move on to consent agenda. And yes, I have a cold, so I'm going to do the best I can to get through this. Consent agenda. Consider for approval the accounts payable for the period of March 1st, 2025 through March 13th, 2025 in the amount of $84,671.67. 2, consider a motion approving the final pay estimate to Austin Tyler Construction, Inc. for the 2020 Drainage Improvement Program in the amount of $33,013.70. And 3, consider a motion to approve the release of the letter of credit for Phase 1 of the Square at Goodings Grove in accordance with the Village Code. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Reiners and Trustee Mason. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Motion carries. Legislation and action items. Number 1, consider for approval an ordinance amending 83-68 of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, increasing the number of Class A liquor licenses issued within the Village of Homer Glen. It is understood that the number of Class A liquor licenses, restaurant, and service bar will be increased by 1. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee
I'll second.
Fialko, Trustee Mason, Trustee Fialko.
Going through this, Mucha Salsa has been here a long time. I did make sure, just so everybody knows, with the liquor license is from our is within our fiscal year, so May 1st all the way to the end of April. And in this, it has already been prorated down to the $167. The non-refundable fee when you're getting a liquor license for the first time is $1,000 under 83-67A. So I think they've met the square footage. If everybody looks at I asked for the lease and to make sure that they had the 1,200 square feet requirement, and they do. So I support it. Thank you.
Trustee Mason?
No, I agree with Trustee Fialko. They meet the square footage. I went through this. If I was taking my wife out for a Mexican dinner, I might want to have a margarita myself.
Any more discussion? And just for the record, Trustee Reinders will not be speaking on this matter as she has a liquor license. Is there any more discussion?
May I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Mucha Salsa has supported this community and Homer Glen specifically for a lot of different things too. Whenever they're asked to come out and bring the taco truck and to be there, they're always available. So we appreciate that too. Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything?
Good
Okay.
restaurant.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
I believe you still call Trustee Reiners, but she will abstain. I'm assuming,
either way.
I'm assuming she would abstain.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to legislation action item number 2, consider for approval an ordinance granting a variance to reduce the lot width in an existing non-conforming lot of record from the required 300 feet to 212 feet from the certain real property located in the A2 Rural Residential District at vacant 14251 West 143rd Street, 16-05-10-010-66, I'm sorry, 006-0000, Homer Glen, Illinois, HD 2427-V. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there?
With just a point of order to that though also, if you don't mind. And the thing is, this was tabled, and the other things we have listed in here, we have it, remove it from the table. So I just don't want to continue.
I'm going to stop you just really quick. Deputy Clerk Marcotte reached out to Attorney Mike Carroll, and because this wasn't brought to the following meeting, it didn't need to be pulled from the table.
If it's tabled, it doesn't matter if it's the first or second. Maybe an attorney can help us. It's just a formality anyway. But anytime something's tabled, it has to be pulled from the table, whether it's the first meeting or the second or the third or the...
Deputy Clerk Marcotte reached out to Attorney Carroll, and that is what he told her.
Okay.
Okay, so why is the clerk answering for you, I guess?
She gave me the information.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, point of order. I was asking Clerk Bilski this morning to run the meeting for me tonight because I could not speak earlier, but I found my voice about an hour ago.
Okay.
So she had all the information for me and was speaking on behalf of that. But I'm going to refer to Attorney Pasquinelli on that since it was on the table, and I know.
I was not involved in the back and forth on this particular one, and I don't want to, I'm not sure what Mr. Carroll had looked at, but I don't think that there is an issue. If the issue is from a formalistic standpoint, if someone wants to formally make a motion to pull it from the table,
I'll make that
can be
motion.
done now.
And I'll
That will
second.
dispel any issue. I don't want to say that what Mr. Carroll said was incorrect, because I don't know the context behind of it, but I think it could all be cured regardless by just making that motion right now.
Can Trustee Fielko put it in his motion?
Yeah,
to
just
pull
say it over
there. All right, so you're pulling it from the table to approve.
Well,
That's all right.
I'll second.
You recognize him, ma'am?
Oh, Trustee McNaughton and Trustee Mason. I don't care who approves
Yeah,
it, just
correct,
someone approve it.
correct.
Okay, Trustee McNaughton and
We want
Trustee
to make
Mason
sure we're following the
are
formalities.
voting to pull it from the table. Roll call on that?
You can do it.
Madam Clerk, or can I get just all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Trustee Fialko made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Steilen. All right, Trustee Fialko, back to you.
I think this gentleman is, well,
Bob? Come
here
on
for
up,
this
Bob.
one. I'd like to just yield my time to that.
Okay, Trustee Steilen? Bob, can you state your name for the record?
Your last name.
Novobilski.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Are you giving your time to Bob right now?
However
Or-
you want to do it.
I think we should just do the trustees first and then.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Trustee Steilen, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. I'm pleased to see some agricultural use added to the village, and I like the idea. However, I would like to put a condition on this that should a house be built, that it is not behind the accessory structure. I'm concerned about setting precedents. There's 2 lots on each side that don't have buildings, and then they could come forward and want to do the same thing. So that's my comment.
Okay. Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, I reviewed the paperwork from last time, again with the updates. Again, the Planning Commission recommended approval 6-0. There was one public inquiry, but no opposition was noted. It looks like, based on the paperwork filed, that the variance is necessary as the lot does not meet the required 80% width. I'm interested to hear what you have to say on the matter as well. Thank you.
Trustee Mason?
McMason.
Mason. Still
Yes,
do
I
it.
actually drove to the facility yesterday, and I guess it was probably around 6 p.m. I met a gentleman that was working on the property. I looked at it. It's right on 143rd. It has a lot of shrubbery up front. Then there's an open space of about 200 feet or so, 250 feet. It has shrubbery on each side of it. From there, no real trees. Maybe the eastern one has a couple trees. There used to be a house there. After looking at the land, talking to the gentleman there that works for you, Bob.
Yep.
I get it. I get what you're trying to do. He tells me, and maybe you can, may I ask questions, man? Or you want me to wait?
Yeah, you should ask him through me and then I'll
Okay.
ask, but
So I would like to know if the agriculture, which is trees, which are fruit trees, I believe, that are going in front of the structure, and then possibly in the future, a house being built, I get it, because part of the barrier he's trying to create is for a noise barrier down 143rd.
so what you're asking,
Is the trees, if in fact it is trees, which I believe it is, and I believe the fruit trees, and the structure will be behind it, I would like to see it, if possible, off to the side, but I get it, you may not even see it because it's more, I just want to make sure it's not a pole barn up front versus a shed when I look down, or if the trees will be blocking it, because at some point, if he does build a house, you may not even see the shed, because it's not that big.
I believe it's 20 by 25.
It's 10 by 20.
It's 10 by 20?
Or a paperwork.
20 by 25.
Oh, is that right?
And that's what I wanted, is 25 by 30.
20 by 25?
25 by 30.
By 30?
Yeah, because
So
that's,
may I just ask, well, can you offset that?
yeah, because I talked with the guys, they told me that it's too small. to keep like tractors or something like that one, so build a little bit more like 25 by 30.
Yeah, I think what I see right now is it's centered, correct?
Yeah.
Is it possible to put it to one side or the other?
Yeah, it's, you know.
So now, if that's the case, I have no issues with it, because I looked at the property, I walked it, you have high property in the front, and then you fall down into a swale in the middle, and then I can see why you would want to put a house up and back, because the land elevates yet again.
Yeah.
So I get that. I don't think it's uncommon in the village to do something like this. I read through the packet, I get the width variance, so I'm actually in favor of it, and especially if something could be put off to the side versus dead center.
No problem.
Let me go to the rest of the trustees, 'cause
Okay.
I'm going to try to compile some questions, because now I have questions. Trustee Consolino? No? Trust,
Oh, you did, you.
My mic is off,
it's okay.
and I have no voice. Yeah, so no, I have no issues with this.
Okay, trustee Reinders?
My question is on this plat here, it shows that there's a pond there.
That's what I'm seeing, and
Is
I,
there a pond?
No, there's no.
I couldn't find a pond.
It's high
No,
land.
there's no.
It's lowland.
No, it's actually high in the
Well,
front.
this shows a pond.
Right, and it's not there. I walked the property yesterday.
which is so strange to me.
Was there a pond?
No, there's no problem.
It's an open land. It looks like a pond because remember what I said about the trees being in the front and the trees being down the side? After that 200-foot mark, there's trees that run across it again. And from what your employee had told me, the front part of that is where the agriculture is going to be.
Yeah.
And as you
And
move
this
down
one
further,
is-
it's about the middle of it, you have a swell. And in that swell would be anything, if there, I don't think it can hold water,
Swell.
but it can definitely be saturated and then it comes high again, which is where you want to put the house.
That's why I cannot build anything in the back, you know, because it's like after the rain you can observe the water, so it doesn't make sense to build anything on the water, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it back in for a second. Mr. Gruba, can we ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, please.
Trustee Reinders had one first.
One question is that, were you aware that this structure is now going to be 25 by 30?
Was I aware that the structure would only be 25 by 30?
Yeah.
I thought there was two alternatives, that it would be either 15 by 10.
Well, I
Right.
mean, I don't see it on here where it just shows 20 by 25. And also, where did you get this? It shows that it has a pond.
I don't see the pond on that. I think that that's just an open field, like Trustee Mason was saying, in the front.
Looks that way because of
It
the
looks like a
It's
pond?
lower land that's a little
So
bit
it's just an
moist.
open field there?
I beg your pardon?
It's just an open field?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My next question is how much of this land is going to be used for agriculture?
Probably around 2 acres.
How many?
2 acres.
2 acres? And how many acres is the lot?
475.
470, almost 5 acres?
But almost 1.25 is, you know, like a swamp, whatever you want to call it. It's not, you know, doable anything with this land, all the way in the back, as you can
And the
see.
driveway is to the west?
Yeah,
Okay.
on the west side. On the west.
Okay, that's all I have.
Did you have a question, trustee Fielko?
I just want to say, the planning commission did vote on this 6-0. I'm, at this point, without amending, I'm in favor of it as it is.
Okay, did you guys have any more questions on this side?
No, I do not.
I do have a question for you, trustee Mason. Why do you have a concern of if it's in the middle or on the side, or?
Well, for visual, because the last thing I'd want to see is and that's why I asked that question, if the agriculture was going to be in front of it. We built a pole barn a couple of years ago through this board, and our house is in the back, and it's way in the back, but then the pole barn was behind it, and it was a big issue with this board about building a pole barn and all this good stuff. This is not that size, but as our resident just stated, he could put it off to the side, and I'm thinking about visual, aesthetically, for the public as they're driving by, and I don't blame them for the sound barrier. If I lived off 143rd, I'd want to be in the back too.
Can I ask, what are you using this pole-barn structure for exactly?
For the, probably what I talked with the well company, that they said that it's gonna be good to have some tank in the middle of this area for irrigating system. So there's gonna be like a water, power, some, you know, stuff like small tractors, stuff like that one, lawnmower.
Are you for sure going to build a house on this property?
You know, I want it.
But you're going to build a house
But
on
we have
this
to
property?
consider that it's gonna be, yeah.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
now, but, you know.
Okay.
But I
Madam,
want-
oh, sorry.
How many feet exactly is that structure off the road? I mean.
200.
It's
200
200,
feet.
okay, then I'm
That's what
reading
it says in
I'm reading
here.
it right.
Yeah.
So 200 feet off of 143rd, when people are going, the speed limit, they go down 143rd Street. I don't really think that the visual is going to be something, and we did say that there's a hill there before it goes down to the back. So I imagine it's very limited, the view that's going to upset anybody. So again, I support it as it is.
Well, my concern, again, is just the future precedent when the neighboring lots want to develop and the neighbor has the accessory structure in front of a house.
But you know, if I can interrupt you.
Wait, sir, let trustees, I'm sorry, let trustee Stylen finish.
Yeah, so that they're going to come in and they're going to want to build a house and they'll say, well, why can't I put my 25, but now it's 25 by 30 building in front of my house? And so you've already said, so how about if we just amend it to say that you can't put anything south of the structure? The lot is 200 feet wide. He can put the structure to the side and build his house to the side. It just doesn't need to be, I just don't see a reason why it needs to be in front. There isn't a hardship shown here, and that's what variances are for, hardships. So I don't see what the hardship is. The hardship is the width of the lot because it's an Ag 2 lot. That's the hardship, but not the accessory structure doesn't meet the hardship requirement.
Yeah, trustee Mason?
I think the hardship, and trustee Stylen's correct, I think the hardship is not only the width, but it's also the sound and the traffic that's coming by. And he's trying to put and correct me if I'm wrong, put the agriculture up front to create some of that barrier, and the shed, or whatever the case may be, is going to house the tools and the things that he needs to do the agriculture part of it. And if his house is behind that and is looking down in a shed and nobody from 143rd can see it, I don't have an issue with it because he's going to see it every day. And he actually did mention that you would be, maybe that's what we can do is with conditions, put it to the side. As trustee Stylen alluded to, if the house was offset and the shed was offset, we wouldn't have an issue.
Trustee Reiners?
I think I would agree with that. I think if you put the structure out, but my other concern is I have to agree with trustee Stylen on this one. You know, we've had all these people that have come in along Parker Road, and they want to put, you know, they have these huge lots, and they want to put these big, massive buildings in the front, and it's an eyesore to the rest of the people that have their homes up front. So, I don't know, I mean, I'm not opposed to him putting a shed, but I just think, can you ask him?
Mm-hmm.
Can you ask him if there's a reason why?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd like to make the statement that Parker Road and 143rd are not comparable. Parker Road is a rural route, which 143rd should be. My fear is if, God forbid, they do expand that, then I understand his situation. Is there a reason that the shed has to be centered? Can you move it to the side with the not?
It don't have to be centered. I can move it on the side, you know, that's.
So that's not necessarily a problem for you. If the board amends it to have it on the side.
Also, the size is approximately, I just, you know, what we discussed about this one. But if you want a little bit smaller, okay, fine, I can build a little bit smaller. That's not a problem.
And the reason you don't want it in the back of your future house is because you want to do all the vegetation up front.
You know, because I want to pull the house away from the busy street, which is going to be widened even.
Yeah.
And the right behind it, I got it like a swamp. It's not buildable area. That's only this lot, as you can see on the picture, only this lot has this particular problem. All the other side, they don't have it. You can see that it's clear.
No, I agree with you on that. It's like you were saying, a precedence of 143rd Street is a much busier road than Parker Road. I mean, every road in our village is different and has its own uniqueness, but I can see 143rd Street why someone would want to put vegetation in front. It reminds me of my friend who has a winery. Her whole front is like the vineyard area, and then her house is set way in the back. It's pretty when you drive through it. Trustee Consolino?
Could we get direction from Director Gruber about what condition or what kind of verbiage for a condition is reasonable in this case?
Thank you, Trustee Consolino and Mayor. I guess I would recommend as a condition that the accessory structure shall not be placed any closer to the road than the primary structure. That could be a condition.
Okay, I have a motion.
And that would relieve, so the accessory structure can't come closer to the road than the primary structure. because then it would become non-conforming. So the condition would be that, you know, when the accessory structure in the home is built, that the house should not be closer to the street, that the accessory structure should not be closer to the street than the house. Does that make sense?
Which street, the 143rd?
Yes,
So you're
143rd.
saying that he can't have the shed close to the street? You'd rather have the house closer to the street?
No.
Oh.
Maybe I'm not being clear, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So the house should be in front of the accessory structure. So the house should be closer to 143rd Street per code. You're not supposed to have the accessory structure in front of the house. So the condition could be that, you know, in no instance shall the accessory structure be closer to the street than the house.
Or,
It's the uniqueness of the lot.
I get that. I mean, my opinion is that it's 143rd Street. If this was Parker Road, I could see where the house structure would be closer to Parker and the structure in the back. But this is 143rd. People want to set their houses farthest away from 143rd Street as possible. So I don't have a problem with him putting the vegetation and the structure, this structure in the front. If that's what the board chooses to do, then that's, obviously I don't vote. So, I mean, I'm okay with where the structure is. If it was set to the side one way or the other, I mean, honestly, I don't care if it's in the middle either, but I mean, if that's what everyone wants. You guys can put conditions on whatever you want, yeah.
Yeah.
Trustee Fialko?
I would like you to ask the home or the builder this. If he moved it to the west, if he could butt it up to that, would that impede what he's trying to accomplish on that piece of property? Or if he's okay with that? Because I think that would end up making the whole board happy. And how far to the west can he move it comfortably?
Trustee Stylen had, I'm sorry, I forgot that you had, my mind is clogged right now. You had a motion.
well, yeah, the motion would be to amend with the condition to the variance prohibiting the owner from constructing a residence to the south of the accessory building, which is pretty much the same as what Director Groove is saying.
I mean, it's your motion. If there's a second for discussion, absolutely. So there's no second.
May I?
I mean, are you discussing Trustee Stylen's motion? So then you have to second to discuss her motion.
I'll second in order
Okay.
to discuss.
So there's a
Trustee
superseding
Stylen.
motion for an amendment. So Trustee Stylen, do you have anything to add to your motion? I mean,
Just
discussion
that,
part.
if the structure could be moved to the west, that would allow.
I was going to amend the
house
motion
be
to move it to the
there.
west. The one thing that happening, his driveway is going to be to the west, is that the same driveway that is going to be used to access the house at some point. So if you're able to move it as far as you can to the west without obstructing your way to get to the house, and it's a future house, is my understanding, it's not today, tomorrow, next week, but at some point, you're going to come back in front of this board to put in a house, or maybe you don't even have to at that point, unless you ask for a variance then. But if you're willing to do that, and as Trustee Stylen stated, so I'd like to amend the motion.
But you're saying, wait, hold on. Trustee Stylen already made an amendment to not allow the accessory.
Further south.
Further
makes
south,
no
but you're
sense.
saying west.
Makes no sense because of the contour of the land. The contour of the land is high in the front, like I said, it goes down into a swell, comes back up. So he has to put the house in the back if he's gonna put the shed up and the vegetation in front of it. So he'd actually have to move it to the west. And I only know this because I walked the land and had the conversations.
I walked it too.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, it goes like this, like
And
this.
then
it
down
comes
and back
and-
up.
And to the west, it's a little bit lower than it is to the east.
Right. And he wouldn't be impeding because there's something already there on the west side.
Attorney, do you have any comments on this? Because we have a motion that's superseding the one to move the structure to the south.
Matt, you were
Yeah.
asking for my opinion. I don't believe that there's a formal motion putting a condition to have it moved to the west. I think that the motion that we have on the table, which has been seconded, is a motion that grants the variance subject to the condition that any future residence cannot be constructed to the south of the accessory
Is
building.
that what it is, future residents?
Any residence.
There is no residence there now.
There's no
so
residence
any
there.
resident-
Residency, I see.
resident
Any
house.
resident structure.
I thought you were saying future residents.
No, sir.
I get it.
So I guess you have debate on that, ma'am.
All right, so we're going to go around, because Trustee Stylen and Trustee Mason went. Trustee McNaughton, do you have anything on the superseding motion right now? No. Trustee Cancelino?
No.
Trustee Fialko? I know, I'm a little confused.
I think at this point, we're kind of on the same page. I think what we're going to need to do is to say no to this and put it together how Sue wants it and how we're talking. That's where I think we're at. So no further discussion on Sue's motion.
Trustee Reinders?
Okay, my problem with this is that, my problem with this is that the driveway is to the west. And how are you going to put the accessory structure all the way to the west and then have a driveway for the house that's supposed to be next to the structure?
Can someone can you draw me a picture of what they're
It could be
asking?
moved to the east, too.
I would say if you move the accessory structure all the way to the east, and then you have with the driveway coming up, you're not going to impede anything, it's not going to be impervious to anything, then you have the house there, and you're good.
Either way would make sense.
Yeah, I believe that would make
That makes everybody happy. I would ask the owner.
The other thing we got to make sure is that he completely understands whatever we're asking of him, and that he can agree with that.
What do you think? Oh, no, I see what you're saying. No further back. And I thought that was the high part of the land. I think he's. That's my understanding.
Okay, they drew me a little picture of what they're talking about. Any more discussion on Trustee Stylin's motion?
Ask if you could show this.
So for clarification, do you understand what their motion is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you do, because I was a little lost there for a minute.
Can Trustee Stylin show him her drawing and show her?
To make sure that you understand, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
Can you do
Yeah, go
that?
ahead.
Just show him?
Yeah, if you'd like, just to make sure he understands what your motion is.
This
Do
is
you
what Trustee
understand what the
Stylin
motion is?
proposing.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Can I see what you're...
So what
If you have the structure here in front of the driveway, you can still put a driveway in front of getting to the house.
You know, the location of, it doesn't matter, whatever you want. I can put it wherever you told me, okay, put it here, I will put it. That's not, this one only, I drove it, you know, just to show what I want to do.
The structure?
May I take a look, because I saw the pond there. She told me, because I think.
Talking about this one?
No.
You could, but,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's,
you could, but then the shed is
also,
still
I
gonna
don't know
be here.
about
If
the
you put the shed
dimension, but,
along this lot
May I
line,
drove on this one?
Yeah, I don't care.
And this one clear, and the shed will be like you said, the driveway this way, and you said that here, the shed. No problem, the driveway will be extend, you know, this area.
Right.
It's not the right.
So we're kind of just hanging out here for a minute?
The height.
This never happens, but
This is the village,
we're kind of sick today.
When I called to the highway.
All right, I'm gonna pull it all back in here for a second.
He started to laugh and giving me a head.
Make sure that,
But whatever, you know, so, because this is the very, and I want to have it as quiet as possible, you know, so I want to build my house right here.
But
kinda-
that's the problem we're having.
Yeah,
You know, that you're not.
That's where all the farming will take place.
yeah,
You
that,
can't go that far. You can bring this further back.
you know, and that's what I
See how
said.
good she does on a sales job.
Like this area would be ugly.
how we doing over there, Trustee Stylin? Does he understand? Does he understand your motion?
He's
You'd have the road running across.
Yeah, all
Okay.
the way back as possible. I was talking,
It's his choice, it's his property, whatever he wants, just
Yeah.
as long as it's not in
that's what I said, that's what.
Yeah, I don't want it in the
I
center.
built the shed, and because of that, so the water rise and everything is.
I saw what she drew, that's why I said take it to
You
him.
put a house here, or you put the shed back here further.
He's got his own ideas, doing his own
So
job.
the house
I hope it's
must
not like
be-
Caesar.
So you,
Okay, I'm gonna bring you back up here.
Okay.
All right, so
I'm gonna take this.
do you understand what the motion is now, where it sits? I know you may not be happy with it, but that's what the motion is right now. So what
So you were
they're,
thinking much further back than that?
Yeah, he wants to put it like all the way back.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's,
but the board is asking that you put the shed to either the east or the west and have the house either even or in front. You can't just put it behind.
that's what the problem, you know, so
Yeah.
I want definitely
That's why you
put the
want-
house
yeah,
as far as possible from the 143rd Street, you know.
I understand, and my personal
And
opinion.
because I'm blocked from the back because of this part of the land, so
Yeah.
I cannot build anything behind.
Yeah, so my personal opinion on this is, I personally don't care if the structure's in front, only because you're along 143rd.
Right.
So that is my personal opinion. I don't vote unless there's a tie. So I'm going to go around one more time for Sue's motion is on the table right now. So that is to Sue, would you repeat your, I'm sorry, trustee Steinlen, would you repeat your motion?
As a condition to the variance, to amend the variance with a condition prohibiting the owner, oops, sorry, let me say that again. Okay. To amend and add a condition to the variance prohibiting the owner from constructing a residence to the south of the accessory building.
Okay, so that's the motion. So you do understand, correct, what the motion is? Okay. Is there any more discussion on what trustee Steinlen's motion is? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on what Sue just said.
Trustee Steinlen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Pass.
Trustee McNaughton?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
Pass.
Trustee Reinders?
If you even say pass.
No.
Trustee Mason?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Okay, so trustee Steinlen's motion did not pass. So now we're back to the original motion to allow you to have the structure in front. So now we're back to discussion on that.
May I
So
make a motion to amend
here we go again.
with the structure not being centered, but to the east or the west, as long as it's not centered up? Because I understand and I agree with what you said, Madam Mayor. It's off 143rd. It's a unique scenario. It's not Parker. It's not Bell. I get it. So that is my motion.
Is there a second to
I'll
trustee?
second that.
All right, trustee Mason and trustee Fialko.
Now we discuss.
Is there any more discussion on this?
And that was what
He
he felt
originally
comfortable
wanted.
with, correct? Yes. Okay, thank you.
All right, trustee Mason, do you have anything to discuss on it?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Fialko?
No, just a reminder that the planning commission approved this 6-0, and I support it at this point, yes.
All right. Madam Clerk, oh, trustee.
Just to clarify, so the motion is the shed
Yes.
has to go to the east or the west, but the future property, if he intends to build, can still go behind
Which
that.
he does intend to build.
Okay.
Can go behind.
And you're okay with that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is a motion to approve the amendment.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I may, can we add a dimension of how close to the east or west property line, within 10 feet?
As
within
close
15
as
feet?
possible.
Well,
Okay.
we got to be
Within the village
specific.
ordinance.
Typically, if we can have it,
Well, what the ordinance allows.
Yeah.
with-
Yeah,
right,
whatever the
right.
ordinance
Where
is.
you're at now, where you're at.
no closer
than.
than.
We're not asking for another variance.
Right, but, it becomes subjective, that if it's not, within 50 feet, within 40 feet,
getting
something like
slacky
that.
here.
Standard is.
Yeah,
So-
that's what makes it easier on staff, too.
Right.
Okay, so you want to add a condition,
Just a clarification
yeah.
about,
So
Terminology.
clarification is,
within 40 feet of the side property line.
that's normal.
Which normal?
I actually have to take a look to see what the side yard setback.
Well, we're not changing anything. We have to go by the ordinance no matter what we do here. So
Correct.
let's just roll with the vote.
Do you understand what this motion is?
Yeah.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Steinlen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Okay, that was a motion to approve the amendment. Now we're going to call the roll call to approve the motion as amended. So many motions.
Trustee Steinlen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Motion carries. There you go. We got through that one. Congratulations to you.
Because of the uniqueness.
Because of the uniqueness. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, moving on to number 3. Hopefully yours isn't as rough. Consider for approval an ordinance granting special use permit for a body piercing establishment for certain real property located in the C2 Local Business District at 15738 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, case number HG2504 SP. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mason and trustee McNaughton. Trustee Mason.
No, we discussed this before. It's come in front of us. I believe even in A&F, the Plan Commission voted 5-0. We've heard this young lady twice now, I believe. And I have no issues with it. It's has to be, well, actually, she's reduced the hours of operation from 6 a.m. is what current ordinance would allow, up to 11 p.m., and she's reducing that from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the facility itself, the only complaints that I had heard was there were dogs barking in the past because of what was there. There was smokers out in front because it was a smoke shop. And I think those complaints are going away. And I think this will be a more docile environment.
Trustee McNaughton?
Thank you. Yeah, listen, you have experience in this industry. You have, both of you, very diverse background. Thank you to your husband for your service also. And I am definitely for new businesses moving into the village as backed by current residents, so I am in favor. Thank you.
Trustee Consolino?
No, I'm in favor of this. They've been going through everything that they're supposed to go through, so I have no issues with it.
Trustee Fialko?
Yes, Planning Commission did approve this 5-0, although on page 209, they just talked about under hours of operation, as far as per section 200-711A, they could be operating between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. Now, it looks like they've agreed to put their hours from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., but I really do think if you read down, a condition of approval should be added to the motion if you want to hold them to those hours. And I almost think that's a really good thing that we could do right now. And not that they couldn't change the hours, but if they wanted to change the hours for that establishment and that traffic at that time at night, that they would have to come to the board. So it's not that we wouldn't approve it, but I think for this business, what I'd like to do is put a motion, a conditional motion to hold the hours from 10 to 9 p.m. And if they want to change the hours, they just come to the board and ask the board to do that.
I'll second that because I actually had that underlined as well, just didn't think I needed to do it.
So there's a first and a second. Would you mind coming up to the podium real fast?
It's in here, man.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, but it's not technically a condition right now. Yeah.
What time are the other businesses open to there?
Yeah.
If
We
I
went to
could
Trustee.
ask the owner, would that, I mean, is that okay with them too?
I'm going, that's what I was going to do.
thank you.
Yeah. Trustee Reiner, did you have anything to add to the?
No.
So I know you don't have a problem with that. My personal, Trustee Stylen, did I miss you?
That's okay. I'm
sorry.
probably going to agree with whatever you're saying right now.
I mean, I know you probably don't care because that's your set hours now. I just feel that it's odd to set, if you were to come before the board without changing your hours, I mean, we would, in my opinion, I wouldn't restrict you from the hours anyways. I mean, if that's the regular business hours, if that's what we're allowing anyways, I wouldn't have said no because of your business hours. So I don't understand why we would restrict you and force the business to come back before us to change them again anyways. I just think that's more work for the business owner. But I mean, I guess if that's what you guys want to do, if you guys want to make a motion to hold them to
Can you ask
that.
her a question?
Yeah,
Does she plan on changing those hours at some point in time?
I don't know. Do you plan on changing the hours?
I do not plan on changing those hours because we usually want to be home to tuck our daughter into bed.
Understand.
So
I mean, I get
typically
you
You have several other jobs, so.
Not going to be anything good happening after 9
Right,
o'clock.
I mean,
And you're gonna have
okay,
6 employees, too.
Point of order, guys. I get that. I'm just saying, I don't want to set a precedence of keep having to make businesses come back because they want to change their hours, right? I mean, it's 10, you said 10 a.m. I mean, what if you want to have someone at 9? I mean, then you're going to have to come back. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. And to make you come back just to change the hours is kind of like redundant. We're supposed to be more business friendly and not handcuff you to this. But again, I don't vote. So we have an amendment. Trustee Fialko,
Yeah.
Trustee Mason, any more discussion on the hours?
Well, the only reason it came up is because it actually came from our own planning commission as a recommendation.
I saw it.
Based on, and here, we don't ever try, we're not trying to handcuff a business.
Mm-hmm.
We're just saying, okay, if you want to change the hours for that, because a lot of people are worried, tattoo, piercing, and
Well,
it was even
it's
said in here,
piercing.
that somebody had complained about, they were worried about the traffic it was, or who it was going to bring in. I'm not worried about that. The hours, though, I think by just putting that little thing in there, that you say, hey, I'm going to change my hours, I don't think the board would say no, but I just think at this point, since this is, I don't think we have any other peers. We just came up with the ordinance, so you're the first piercing business, and let's see how it goes, right? It's not handcuffing you in any which way. It's not not
your
working
opinion.
with businesses, but I do kind of see what our village president is saying. In the meantime, for the first time here and going around, I think it would be a good thing to start with, that's all.
Trustee Mason, you were second.
No, and I actually agree with Trustee Fialko. My son actually owns a tattoo shop. It happens to be in Tinley Park, and he opens at noon. Bottom line, I think that the other businesses shut down earlier than this, and I think the other businesses probably started about that same time. And as Trustee Fialko just stated, this is the first one. Let's see where it goes. I'd like to start off on a great note, and she believes that the hours of operation are perfect, so.
Trustee Steinle?
Well, to your point, I think, what if she did want to change it to, if anything, I could see a change being earlier, starting at 9 or 8, because people want to do something before they go to work or whatever. So I would just move it up, like have it close at 9, but maybe allow 8 to 9 or something. And she doesn't have to use it, but she's got it without having to come back to the board.
That's more my point, was the
Yeah.
earlier, not the later, but the
Right.
earlier. But Trustee McNaughton?
No, I agree with that as well. That makes perfect sense.
Trustee Reinders?
I'm in total agreement. I have a business in Homer Glen as well, and at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, you could roll the sidewalks up.
Trustee Cancelino?
We have residential over there. I did get some concerns, and I tried to explain that I didn't think that this was going to attract the element. I think because you didn't get flack at Planning Commission for it, I'd like to be respectful of the residents that were concerned, because you got a lot of people with families and kids, as you understand. So, we're very receptive to you coming in. So I think this is a really good way of starting it and showing the community that it's not going to bring in the element that they're concerned about. And I think the time that we've been on this board, out of 4 years, I've only had one business, and I think it was one of the car shops over there on Anico, where they came back to change the hours. So it was no big deal.
I mean, this is the board now. Boards change every 2 years. So, I'm just trying to protect you, but if you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
The earlier, I could see them giving you 8, but go ahead. Trustee Fialko, did you have something?
Can we call the vote on the motion to amend?
And while I'm in the middle of making my point, no. Let me finish my statement, and then we can call the roll. And let me finish going through the board, if you don't mind.
I thought we did.
No, I was still in the middle of a sentence.
CJ.
Okay, I thought he did, I'm sorry.
Did you have something?
No, I was just thinking that I get the 10 a.m. start. Maybe we do need to, and I agree with Madam Mayor, maybe we need to extend the hours just so you don't have to come back in front of us again in case you have to finish up something and, I'll come back tomorrow. I would hate to see that happen to you.
9 a.m. to 9 p.m., again, we're not going to be staying later than 9 p.m.
Yeah, and the earlier, Trustee McNaughton.
Do we have a motion for that, Carolyn?
I don't even remember what the motion was.
So you could amend.
I was going to say, can I make an amendment? to the
I
motion?
have a
Wait,
motion
Trustee
on the
Fialko
floor
has
right
a
now.
motion.
I have a motion on the floor right now.
I just said Trustee Fialko has a motion on the floor.
We're going all over the place.
I was just clarifying.
Yeah, I'm going to recognize the attorney for a moment.
So right now, there's a motion on the floor that was made by Trustee Fialko, and I believe it was seconded. That was to add as a condition the hours of operation. That's what was just being debated. Now, at any point, if the trustees would like to make another motion to change Trustee Fialko's motion or to an amendment to it, you can.
Okay.
So, but that hasn't been made yet.
That's what he was doing.
I just want to clarify, Trustee Fialko, the hours that you are looking to set in place.
I would be okay with amending that to making the hours earlier, just not later.
I was going to suggest 9 till 9.
However you want to do.
Yeah.
9 to 9. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders. Okay, so now, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on the amendment
To the amendment.
to the amendment
Are we setting a
that we never
time
called the
with
roll
the
call
early-
on?
with the early
Trustee
start?
Fialko.
Are we setting a time for the early start?
She said, we said 9 to 9.
9 to 9, okay. I just want to be clear.
You're up.
Thank you.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino.
Aye. Motion carries for the amendment. Now, can we do the roll call for the amended motion?
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino.
Aye. Congratulations, you have 9 to 9.
Thank you.
We did it together.
All
Sorry.
right. Now, number 4, Consider for approval a motion to take from the table approving the estimated quote from Blue Peak in the amount of $41,382.88. This is from taking it from the table.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Reinders and Trustee Mason. I'm assuming there's no discussion on taking it from the table.
No, ma'am.
Madam Clerk, call the roll on taking it from the table.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. The attorney.
Yeah, so you have to look in your packets. The information in your packets does not include a marked up contract. There's two separate supplemental sheets to the right of your packets that has the contract marked up by myself.
Okay, so now the motion is there a motion to approve the estimated quote from Blue Peak in the amount of $41,382.88?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko and Trustee Reinders. Trustee Fialko.
All right. You said it is marked, okay, so it is marked up on 10. Yeah. All right. And, yeah, I saw it. Thank you very much for that. And this, I'll take it down. I've got nothing else. Thank you.
Trustee Reinders.
I'm good. We discussed this in A&F, and it had to be reviewed by the attorney, so yeah, I'm good.
Trustee Consolino. Trustee Stylen.
Yes, but just that the Rider A must be attached to the agreement when it's signed. It wasn't included in here.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, attorney.
The Rider A includes the village's standard indemnification and insurance requirements. On page, let's see here. On the last page of the marked up agreement, you'll see highlighted in yellow that these terms may not be modified without writing signed by both parties. These terms, including the contract, shall include all terms and provision of Rider A. To the extent the terms and provisions of Rider A conflict with these terms, Rider A shall control. So what Trustee Stylen is just noting that before it gets executed, that Rider A has to be attached to it, but that's what Rider A says. It's simply our indemnification and our insurance requirements.
Trustee Mason.
I agree with what Mr. Pasquinelli and Trustee Stylen stated. That was my concerns, and he addressed it prior to us getting here.
Trustee McNaughton.
Yeah, the terms of the rental and services contract has been amended as the board requested in a prior meeting.
Perfect. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Number 5, consider for approval a motion to take from the table approving the Vantage Production Group by Soundworks contract for 2025 Homer Community Festival in the amount of $17,550. Is there a
I'll make that
motion?
motion.
Trustee
Second.
McNaughton and, Trustee Fialko and then Trustee McNaughton. So, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Since it's pulled from the table, consider for approval the Advantage Production Group by Soundworks contract for the 2025 Homer Community Festival in the amount of $17,550. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee
second.
Reinders, Trustee Fialko. Trustee Reinders, I'm going to point to the attorney real quick.
My apologies, if the board would please consider one amendment, and if someone could make it, just paragraph 16, after agreement for services, to strike out where it says agreement, comma, and then to just strike out the or. So it should read agreement for services and this staging addendum. My apologies for that. Somehow my text writer did not have that included correctly. So just that little,
We're in 16.
It's on 16. I don't see it.
paragraph 16.
I'm looking
Second
at
page
16
from the
right
back,
I'm sorry.
at the bottom, highlighted.
Oh, okay.
16 in the back.
Mine doesn't go to
It's
16.
number 16, not page 16.
Mine stops at 15.
Oh, okay.
There's two different 16s.
There's two different 16s, yeah.
This is the one, the second one from the
The
back.
very, yeah.
It's on this one, ma'am.
There.
Oh, it's a different one. It's the updated one. There it
I'll
is.
make that motion based on the statement by legal.
Trustee Mason, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on the amendment?
Yes.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
All right, any more discussion on,
Yeah.
okay, trustee Fialko.
The thing I want to make sure is the agreement, the changes that we made, Vantage is on board and has agreed to those changes, or is that another step that has to be taken?
I'm not involved in that, trustee Fialko. That would be a question to Mr.
That would
Baber.
apply to the tent, too.
Yeah.
The tent contract. Do we have one more step to go, is what I'm asking.
That is not a question for me, sir. That would be to Mr. Baber.
Mr. Baber, can you answer
We
that?
will present this as it is being approved by the board, and if there's an issue, it'll come back, but I'm hopeful that this is smooth sailing moving forward.
Okay, so we're approving both for, we did for the tent, but we're approving to pay this, and that's as long as Vantage agrees to the terms that you've changed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And may I add something, ma'am? And the only requirements that we're putting in there, the only markups that we put in there were to have their agreement conform with this, with the village's standard indemnification and insurance requirements. So that's all we're doing. And how it's being conveyed and how Mr. Baber is going to present it to all the vendors is that this is just the village's requirements if you want to do business with us. That's just the standard requirements we do across the board.
Standard boilerplate.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if we could ask Dan, has he presented these changes, or he was waiting until we approved them?
I was going to ask him that.
We were waiting to get this approved first.
Okay. Trustee Consolino?
I wrote that. See,
Trustee Reinders?
Nope, that was my question.
Trustee Stylen?
I'm fine.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
All right.
Motion carries.
Good luck, Danny.
Thank you.
Homer fed.
All right, number 6, consider for approval a motion to take from the table an ordinance for text amendments to Chapter 220, Article 7. Look at that, I got it right. Administration and enforcement of the zoning code of the Village of Homer Glen to modify the process by which map and text amendments may be made, HG 2501-A.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mason.
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders. Does anybody have any discussion on pulling it from the table? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consider for approval an ordinance for text amendments to Chapter 220, Article 7, Administration and Enforcement of the Zoning Code of the Village of Homer Glen to modify the process by which map and text amendments may be made, HG 2501A. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Consolino?
I'll second.
And Trustee Mason. Trustee Consolino?
No, it looks good to me, the things that it's harder to tell without the striking on there, but no, what I had requested to be uniform is on there, so thank you. Did we have to have the lawyer review this too?
He did.
Yes. The attorney reviewed this, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Mason?
Basically, we've had this in A&F, and bottom line, text amendments must ultimately be approved by the village board. This is just a streamlined process, and I'm all for it.
Trustee Stylen?
Yeah, I have no comments.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, this looks good. Again, the Plan Commission voted 6-0. It's been updated. Good to go.
Trustee Fialko?
Trustee McNaughton just said what I was going to say. I'm good.
Trustee Reinders?
Thank you, sir.
We reviewed this in A&F, and we were waiting for the attorney to review it, so I'm good.
Attorney, you got anything?
No, just from the public's perspective, the text amendments were, the ordinance that dealt with text amendments were changed because text amendments typically affect not only a particular property or a particular applicant, but it has repercussions for everyone in the future. So in order to do a text amendment, it requires the village board to initiate that process by way of recommendation or by way of recommendation from Mr. Gruber, by way of Mr. Baber, through those processes. Map amendments are different. Map amendments are only unique to a specific person and property. So in those particular instances, when we're dealing with map amendments, that amendment can be initiated by the individual applicant. Doesn't require the village board to initiate it. It does require the village board to approve it ultimately, but as far as the initiation process, because it only affects that one sole piece of property and not the village as a whole, that initiation process for a map amendment can happen by the individual applicant. So just to clarify for everybody how it works. Yep.
Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Trustee Consolino? Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders. Aye. Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 7, consider for approval Resolution 25-002, a resolution ratifying and approving an agreement with the Creamery via the Homer Athletic Club to facilitate concessions on premises for Homer Athletic Club upon meeting all village and health department permitting, licensing, and other requirements for the 2025 athletic season in the village of Homer Glen.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Reiners and Trustee Fialko, and I have a note that this needs to be amended to the updated resolution.
Yes, we got
That's it.
And you guys got it?
Yeah.
Okay,
We
good.
got it right here.
I'm sorry, was that Trustee Reinders and Trustee Fialko? Trustee Reinders, do you have anything?
Basically, Joe, I just have a question for Joe. Could I-
Sure, Joe.
Joe, did we talk to them about the signs?
Yes, that's included in the agreement. The signage that they're going to be doing, they did give us a specific size for the Creamery sign that'll go on the building. They are going to have additional, those signs, they open up.
A-frames?
On the ground, yes. A couple A-frames there, just so people know that that's in the agreement. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how to use your microphone?
Yes, the attorney reviewed this.
Yeah, the attorney has.
The one that was in the packet was not drafted by me.
Okay.
There is a supplemental sheet outside of the packet in addition to the
This one
peak
right
and the
here.
bonnet,
Okay, I
yes.
see it.
That I pulled from, the mayor had called me earlier in the week. She wanted certain things taken care of. This was one of the things in my review that I found. I pulled it, I reviewed it, I revised it. I even spoke with Trustee Stylen on a couple concerns that she had prior to this meeting today, or this, well, it was before the meeting that I spoke with her, but prior to this session.
Okay, I'm good.
Trustee Fialko.
Yes, during A&F, we talked about this at length, and one of the items that we came up with was the signage. Now, we said that sign on there, it's okay to do it, but it needed to be in their contract because it's outside of the ordinances that we have for the size and for where it's being posted, although it's temporary. But we said that we wanted it put into the contract that we're allowing, that we weren't against it. What we wanted to make sure is that we're covering our bases and that we had the verbiage in the contract that we're allowing that sign to be there temporarily between April 1st and July 31st. But I don't see, now I looked in, under the contract and I see number 7 says HAC shall have the right to approve all advertising materials used at the complex, but I didn't know if that was addressing the sign. Is the sign in my?
Yes.
Yes. Which number is the sign covered
If you
on?
look at the very last page of the agreement, page 1 of the concession agreement with the HAC.
You're talking where, right above the signatures where it says acceptance?
No, on the last page of your packet, of the supplement sheet, last page, it specifically says the main sign on the concession will be 96 inches by 12. There'll be 2 menu boards. There'll be removable A-frames, a removable yard flag, and an option for an additional field sign. And that's on.
Are you under Exhibit C?
It is.
It's the last page,
it's the
right? I'm on the
page
last
before this-
page of the supplement.
Page before the signature page.
So is it E, or what, kind of guide me by
Number 7.
number 7. I got a number 4 on the last page.
We got 2 different concessions.
Oh, okay, it's actually on page 1 of the concession agreement, okay.
Correct.
Which is the change, all right. And it's on the back side of the 3rd page from the back, okay. That makes sense. All right, it wasn't in the change that I was looking at in the.
That was added.
Okay,
For
great.
the A&F.
I just wanted to make sure it's in there and that we all know we're allowing that to be done. That falls under the dates that they've agreed to, right? April 1st to July 31st only, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm good then.
All right. Trustee Consolino, do you have anything?
No, as long as it's in there accurately, that's fine by me.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Basid?
No, I called the vast majority of the trustees. We beat almost every one of these issues up, although they slightly changed throughout the night. We're in agreement. Trustee Stylen had some good concerns. Joe's addressed those. Legal's addressed the others. I'm fine.
Trustee Stylen?
I'm fine.
Attorney?
Yeah, so what we have to do from a housekeeping perspective is the old packet, the packet materials that we have, there you have the updated concession agreement in. And the one that I redid recently, Exhibit A that's shown there, has the old agreement on there, where it's not amended, okay? So we have to take the concession agreement that has the language that trustee Fialco had noted, paragraph 7, we have to take that agreement, and we have to make that Exhibit A
On the new
to the
resolution.
new resolution, correct?
Agreed.
Yeah.
What? We have to do that tonight?
No.
No, it's signed and
I'm
dated.
just-
So it's signed and dated.
I'm making sure that it gets published
There's
and
no
it
amendment
gets
needed.
passed
Just
in the
amend-
exact way
resolution.
that you all are intending.
I'm fading fast, guys.
I understand that.
All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Please.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, consider for approval resolution number 25-003, approving the following executive session minutes. November 8th, 2023, December 13th, 2023, January 10th, 2024, January 24th, 2024, and February 15th, 2024. The executive session minutes still require confidential treatment and are not released. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Mason and Trustee Reinders. Trustee Mason,
I think you covered it in the, basically the background information for us. Some of this is still being worked on, and some of it is sensitive, so I'm for it.
okay. Trustee Reinders?
I'm good.
Trustee Consolino? Nope. Trustee Fialco?
No comment.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino? No. Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 9, consider for approval payment for the Village of Homer Glen's January legal bills from Peterson, Johnson, and Murray in the amount of $22,645.96.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee McNaughton and Trustee Reinders. Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, look through the accounts as we do every board meeting. We've got wastewater treatment plant. We have against the Illinois American Water rate increase objection that the attorneys have been working on. We have opposition to the 143rd Street expansion that the attorneys have been working on. Everything else looks in order. Thank you.
Trustee Reinders?
No, the bills are coming down, so we're actually working on a lot of things and resolving a lot of issues, so I think the bills are coming down, and which is good.
Trustee Consolino? Nope. Trustee Fialco?
No comment.
Trustee Stylen?
Just that what's now added to our packets is we do have a breakdown for each item, so we can keep a cumulative total, and I just appreciate that. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Trustee Mason?
Yeah, I looked all the way through it. It's the same old as Trustee McNaughton just mentioned. General costing for litigation of the average stuff that we'd be doing was $5,300 regardless. Some of the people not following the rules and regulations cost us another $5,900, and FOIAs even jump in there. So it's same old, same old.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business. Trustee Fialco, do you have any old business?
I don't know if the pipeline falls in this category, but do we have anything going on with the pipeline and the trees as far as legal?
Which one?
With the pipeline and the trees trimming down?
BP?
BP?
Yes.
BP.
The pipeline, correct. I wasn't sure if we did or we didn't at this point have any legal pending.
I have had review with community development and engineering in regard, back and forth in regards to the village's rights and things of that nature regarding that, but we haven't done anything in quite some time.
But we don't have any suits or we don't have anything?
No, sir, there's no active suit going on.
All right, thank you.
Any more old business?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Trustee
it's-
Fialco, were you done?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's in regards to the House Bill 1397, in regards to 143rd Street, excuse me. And I do stand in strong opposition to House Bill 1397. Along with the mayor, fellow trustees, we all lodged a formal, strong opposition to this bill. Bill 1397 is potential litigation that seeks to grant Will County quick take eminent domain authority for 143rd Street project. Now, the bill, if passed, as we know, would set a dangerous precedent for our community, allowing the county to seize private property before final compensation agreements are reached. It would undermine our rights as homeowners, threatens the character of our village, and prioritizes government convenience over the voices of the very people who call this community home. Various implications would be a violation of property rights. In my mind, would be government overreach. It irreversibly changes the community character, would be a financial burden on taxpayers. There are increased traffic and safety concerns. Really, in conclusion, House Bill 1397 is not just about our road, although that is my number one concern. It's also about how much power we allow the state government to have over our property, our community, and our future. And eminent domain should never be used to force projects on communities without full transparency and fair negotiation. So I once again urge fellow board members, residents, local leaders to continue to oppose this bill and demand a process that respects property owners and preserves the unique character of Homer Glen. Thank you.
Thank you. I did have a question regarding Trustee Reinders stating earlier that she was going to no longer have her second meetings for parks. When we approved the committee meeting schedule, did we approve the second meeting on that schedule?
Yes, we did.
So now, wouldn't we have to make an amendment to that schedule to remove all of those second meetings, or would she have to post a cancellation every time?
Well, at this point, we're going to post a cancellation, and we're evaluating, and we can change or amend that schedule in the future.
Sorry, I just thought of that when I was sitting there.
No, that's okay. That's why I brought it to the board.
We were aware
to the board, yeah.
We were aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay, any new business? Hold on, I'm going to go to the trustees first. Trustee Fialco?
Yes. You know what, we're talking about a lot of dirt bikes and everything else, and we kind of live in a rural area here. And I know this board has increased the fine for dirt bikes. Although in the past, we've had somebody come forward to us that's willing to, and I almost think this is something that should be looked at, where a piece of property in this community could be allocated to the use for dirt bikes and for ATVs. And I don't know if it needs to be private or how that it would be insured. I mean, I get it, there's a long trail for it, but really we live in an area where that's kind of expected to some degree. They see the open space and they want to go riding, and I get that. I was that guy out there on the motorcycle when I was a kid. And had I not been on that motorcycle spending that time, I don't know where I would have been and what I would have been doing. I just know I wasn't spray painting somebody's fence. I wasn't breaking into their shed. I wasn't doing the things that kids with idle minds sometimes, when they got nothing better to do, will sometimes do. So what I'm trying to come up with is to maybe, I won't be here at the time, because by the time you would get this done, I will be gone. But I just think that the board, maybe if you guys could come up with a way to accommodate the people with those types of vehicles, that would probably help out.
So Trustee Fialco, to add to yours, Trustee Mason had brought that up for quite some time now. My problem with that is the bikes have to get to whatever designation it would be. So they would still be riding on paths and areas to get wherever the designated area is.
Come up with a designated trail from a certain spot just for them?
You mean like a storage place where people could store their bikes on the site? Well, I mean, otherwise, how would they get there? They'd have to.
I don't know, you'd have a lot to work with.
You know what, I don't want to be rude, but I let you speak if I could just finish. I'm sorry, I'm sick. I'm like, yeah, conversation, but if usually one person talks and the other person stops, well. So what I'm just trying to say is I like the idea of a designated spot, but it would have to include some sort of storage unit where people can store their bikes to use that area, because otherwise people are just going to continue to take the paths that run behind people's homes, or the walk paths that we have to get there. And that's still going to be a nuisance to the residents. I'm going to circle around because I know Trustee Reinders asked to say something. Go ahead.
Basically, I was contacted by a resident, and they did not want to give their name because I assume that their children are the ones that are riding the dirt bikes throughout Homer Glen. And I mean, they approached me and they said, you know, we have all this trail system throughout Homer Glen. why couldn't we put another lane in for the dirt bikes? And he said, any other subdivision or any other community that you go into, they have accommodations for the kids with the dirt bikes, anything in the rural areas. He said, so I really think that we're doing a disservice to the people. He said, we live in a rural area and we buy these bikes for our kids because we are rural. Where do you expect them to ride them? And I said, well, the burden is basically on the parent. If there's ordinances that says you can't ride them, why would you buy a bike? And they said, well, what else would you want our kids to do here? You don't have anything. You don't have a park district, and I couldn't argue with that. But they said, you don't have anything else to do for kids that are, like the older, like maybe not teenagers, but not like young adults, but more or less like the younger teenagers. And that's what they do. They buy them these bikes and so that they could ride around. And I just said that was something we brought to the Parks Committee. And Parks discussed it, and we felt the same way, that even if we did put something on the trails or something along the trails, they're still going to ride on the trails because the trails are all paved. So and everybody on the committee just basically thought that it wasn't going to be a good idea. Do I think it's a good idea? Absolutely. We live in a rural community. Just like I think we should connect our trails to the trails in Cook County, because with the forest preserves, because then people that utilize our trails can continue on their path to go into some of the trails in Cook County. So I'm definitely not opposed to it, but I would just think that it would be very difficult to pull off.
Trustee Stylen, just going around to keep it civil.
I don't know. I hear a lot of residents complain about the dirt bikes. Riding, they can't walk, and even if you had a lane, would they stay on the lane would be a big question. I don't know how I grew up, managing to find things to do with my time other than riding a dirt bike. So I just think that there are many other things that kids can find to do. And I just knew I would have loved to have had when I was a kid, it was a mini bike that was the big hot item. And I would have loved that, but I knew that was the thing that we took to a campground or whatever to do. We didn't just do it in our neighborhood.
Trustee Mason?
Thank you. I think that I'm constantly beating up the sheriff's department, and me and you keep batting our heads together. Myself and the village manager do it, the entire safety committee. I have brought this up for almost 2 years already about doing something like this, so it's hard to believe, but I'm agreeing again with Trustee Fialco. If there's something we can do, when we put if we could put our heads together and create something, I think each one of the trustees brings valid points. A trail system that was dedicated, or a space that was dedicated. I agree with Trustee Stylen that there are plenty of complaints, but we are a rural area. So I think that we could work on this, and maybe it won't even be done by the time I'm gone. But definitely we need to look at something similar. And as I was on vacation 2 weeks ago, I was sending you all kinds of photos of things exactly like this.
Mm-hmm. I remember. Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, no, I'm empathetic to this. I've ridden my whole life. I was that kid, getting in trouble, riding my dirt bike around the streets. No, occasionally. So I am empathetic to that. My little guy just got a motorcycle. He rides it around the backyard of the subdivision. It would be nice to have a dedicated area. I know some families have trailers for motorcycles. A lot don't. But I'd like to continue to have the discussion and look at what the options could be. It would be nice as open spaces to be able to utilize those in a way that were kid-friendly as well. There was some middle ground.
Trustee Consolino?
I think that the board should entertain discussion on it. When I chaired with public safety, I think we talked about this, and that, because that's when we devised the ATV ordinance to begin with. We talked about, I think, the insurance. Wouldn't it be like crazy insane, Joe, if we did something like that? So that's a factor that has to really be, well, if they sign them. Just yesterday, I'm coming home, my kid, Meadowview Lane, and I have like an 11, 12-year-old that just jumps right out in front of the car on this itty-bitty little, and the safety concerns, and they don't care. Part of it is how our residents view it, and the kid, when he wasn't on the trails, he was basically going underneath the power lines. So it was another safety, and it's, and we also learned with events. We had an event last year where we had a very belligerent teenager driving around in Joe's subdivision. So, code enforcement is extremely difficult with this. I would not be opposed to having a lane if it's doable, if it's feasible. Okay, so discussion on feasibility. So that might be something that you guys could do with your committee for community development, and look into what. But I just looked up while we're sitting here discussing this. You go, Google, and so the ATV trails and maps and what cities and counties they're in. So look and see what their ordinances are. Compare it, see what they're paying for insurance, because they have to have something. So that's, we always steal off other people's ordinances. So, but yeah, I think there should be discussion. I don't see why not. Bring it to a committee level and then bring it back to the board.
Trustee Fielko?
I have an idea based on listening to everybody. We have a new storage facility on 159th Street with open space, land on each side, right? Now, if the motorcycles could rent their own storage space at that facility, you wouldn't have to build one, right? And the other thing is, if they had to provide their own insurance, they would have to provide their own insurance, and that would cover that base to some degree. Obviously, legal would have to get involved. But I would say with that storage facility being there, they'd have a place to store their vehicles already without having to build one, have a trail that would be easily accessible to that, have them provide their own insurance to be able to ride on that trail. And I think this is very similar to the signs. You're never going to get rid of political signs 100%. You're never going to get rid of the ATVs and the motorcycles. We changed the ordinance and everything. It doesn't stop people from doing it. So I think we're all correct to some degree of working together with the community to try and provide something in the future. So thank you.
Trustee Reiners, we're going back around.
No, I'm good.
My only worry on this is I definitely don't think the village should be using taxpayer dollars to buy land or, to do anything or put money into a trail for that. That's my personal opinion. I worry just because if someone has insurance doesn't mean that the village wouldn't fall or responsible on a trail if someone get hurt. Of course I love dirt bikes. My kids have them, my nephews have them, but we ride them on private property. But if something happens, obviously it falls on the property owner as well as the individual. If a business owner wants to come in and buy some land and throw up some storage units and some ramps and whatever, go for it. But I just don't think that the village should be at all of any risk or be held responsible for some that want to ride dirt bikes. Joe?
I was out this weekend chasing down people on ATVs. So this has been something I've been dealing with for quite a few years. We've had people approach us wanting to build dirt bike tracks or ATV tracks here, not in my backyard.
Yep.
I think that's a big concern, that the locations they've come out with are near residential properties, and I don't know, residents aren't going to want a dirt bike track. That we have a couple private properties where we have multiple dirt bike on those properties, on private properties, on larger parcels, farms, and we get calls on the weekends that, because of the noise, on personal property. So that's something to consider too. Where are you going to put this? It's going to have to be isolated. It's going to be far away from the residents, else you're going to continue to get complaints. Noise, safety of both the residents, the people driving the dirt bikes, these kids on the streets. We've had a couple get hit that are riding them on the streets. And damage to property. They're ripping up not only our streets, our trails, ComEd property. We're working now with ComEd to try and get this resolved. They're looking at additional measures to get this done. It's a complex problem, I think, here that we need to deal. We can look at, but I think, where to put something like this is going to be a challenge.
That's why I said if somebody wants to purchase the land, like Trustee Fielko had a great idea, that storage unit place over there, that's great. That's unincorporated Homer Township. If someone wants to buy the property, have at it. That's on you. But you're speaking my language because at Konos, one of his alpacas got ran over and killed by a four-wheeler. So they just ride wherever they want. And it looks like open space, but it's actually a farm where animals are. And my fear is that someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get ran over, and I don't think the village personally should. We got so many other things going on and to spend our money on than a trail. That's my personal opinion. Anybody else have any discussion on that?
Can I, you're talking about ripping up lands and stuff like that. Maybe that's what we need to look at. We need to look at private property. I'm not suggesting the village. There's ways around the insurance thing. I think we need to create CJ's little committee on this. And bottom line, you know, kids getting hit if you're trailering it, if you're near the facility, if there's storage nearby that facility. I mean, these are all possibilities, but I think we really need to brainstorm and try to create something or entice a private company to come in. I don't want people's property being tore up. Lieutenant Denny and myself, we go through this every other week or two where we're just
Every day, I get a
Well, there you
message.
go. I didn't want to say it that way because I'm trying to downplay it a little bit, but we are in a rural area, and you know, I'm just trying to think of the solution, and I am all in favor of appointing CJ chair.
I'll second that. All right, any more oh, Joe?
Yep, I got some more new business. I'm looking for a consensus for the village board. We've been approached by the TV production of Chicago PD to do some shooting out at the Boo property, and I'm looking for a consensus to enter into a contract, which is being currently reviewed by legal, for the production on the Boo property. They are going to compensate the village for $10,000. And like I said, it's pending legal review. They're looking at shooting potentially sometime next week. I don't want to give out too many details so we don't have,
So potentially, or what Joe is asking is from a consensus, because we don't have the contract in front of us, and they're looking to shoot sooner than the next board meeting, he's looking for a consensus to move forward with attorney review. Yes,
I
attorney.
mean, I've looked at a substantial portion of the agreement. I don't have very many issues with it. I mean, obviously, provided they agree to the indemnification insurance requirements that we have, but it seems pretty straightforward.
Consent? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. But is the Boo property, we can talk about the Boo property now.
Yes,
that we
ma'am.
wanna come- Okay. So is it considered safe for them too? Because I've gone.
yeah, they've already done some preliminary Julie locates. They've done some different things they need to do. This production company's worked with us before on other properties within the village. So this isn't
then I
their
know
first
it is.
go around. They've worked with Will County Sheriff, with Homer Fire. They've, you know, we've never had any issues, so.
Did we ever decide what we're going to do with the wonderful equipment that was left over?
Well, let's get a consensus on the PD, and then we'll go back to that.
Yes, this came up in ANF. I think we were all in agreement, and that's why we brought it here. But with that contract that we're putting together, of course, on that corner, we talk about trucks idling. So in that contract, I do believe that it should have something that addresses the idling times with whatever kind of trucks they would have out there, if they're going to be operating at night. And I mean, the thing is, if there needs to be hours of operation.
You got that.
Well,
Yep,
right.
it
we're
is not
talking
at
about it
nighttime.
right
It
now,
is not
right?
at
I
night.
haven't seen them.
Yep.
And I guess legal's looking at it, right? So if you're in the motion of it, I'm just saying, I think hours of operation and idle times that people complain about on that corner for diesel vehicles
you
and
know
other
exactly who's
vehicles
gonna
all the
complain.
time. I just think that if we allow that to go with no parameter set, that business there would say, well, you're letting them do it all hours of the night and you're giving me $1,000 fine for truck idling on my property. So I just want to make sure we're protecting the residents the same as we are with the gas station and what's going on there.
It's a daytime shoot with some trailers that wouldn't necessarily be idling.
Still think it needs to be written into it.
It is in the event permit that I would
get 'em
be
too.
issuing. It is, the hours of operation are in the event permit that I would be issuing as part of this.
Joe, would you be able to send a contract to the board tomorrow so they can just review it, even though we're given a consensus tonight, just so it can be reviewed?
But I do support it, as long as you got a cameo in it, Joe.
Let's steal my line.
I can't disclose the actual production itself. I won't go,
Trustee Reiners?
My only concern was that if they were going to be going inside the structures, if they were safe for them to go inside.
they are not going in any structures, it's all outdoor shoot. It has to do with,
None of the bars.
I'll just
or
say
anything
it
like
has to do with something being found on the property. I'll leave it at that.
that? Oh, okay, I got it.
Trustee Stylen?
No, I'm all for it.
Trustee Mason?
You have my consensus. Bottom line, we did talk about the hours in A&F. I have no issues with it. We knew that it was going to be shot on the outside. I just want to find out where we stand with my role.
You're what they find.
Yeah.
It's my understanding there's no speaking parts.
Trustee
for him.
McNaughton, do you have anything?
Yeah, it would be nice to find out if you could when that episode will air, so we could let the village
I
know.
have done that in the past. Homer Glen has been mentioned in a previous production they've done.
Is that Konos?
So
Yeah.
Next contract, get that in there. They mention us.
I can work on that.
Mike,
I
you on
can
it?
work on that.
So you got your consensus.
Thank you.
Trustee Cancelino, you had a second to that, or secondary question to that.
Yeah, no, as long as it's safe, that was my biggest concern after being on that property. So if it's safe, when we're not held liable in case anything happens on it, and we're getting money, I think that's great for the village. Also, you know, claim to fame there for us. But there's a lot of farm equipment, and then we have some Twinkie buses on there. So I was going to suggest, could we auction that kind of stuff off?
That's not ours. That's not our property.
May I,
That's,
Madam Mayor?
Oh, then, we're gonna,
The buses and farm equipment that are on that front portion are currently the property of Kathy Boo, of the Boos. That's their property. They're in the process of removing that.
okay.
The
I was
remainder of the personal items on the property are either going to be removed. We still have money sitting in escrow. If they are not, that we will get those things removed. I have talked to Mrs. Boo this last week, and she would like the opportunity to go back and potentially get a few personal items that were frozen into the ground that they did not have the opportunity to remove. Otherwise, we do have contracts and the ability to get that stuff removed and compensated for that as well.
No, thanks. And thank you, Trustee Fialco, for bringing up the truck idling, because we have several residents that are very vocal about truck idling there. So as public safety and as environment is aware, so thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even think about it.
my question is, was the wild turkey,
We have not seen the wild turkey in a while.
okay.
Someone's stalking me when I was.
There's a- Yeah, yeah. Okay, was there any more new business? I just have one minor thing, it's not a big deal, but today there was a ribbon cutting, and a resident showed up with his name on his sweatshirt. As soon as we saw that, we had said to the staff, please make sure, even though it was just his name, it didn't say anything else, the first thing I said was, please Photoshop his name out of the photo. The photo was taken by the business owner. They had published the photo themselves. So I know it has nothing to do with the village, but the village is aware that a resident was in there with his name on the photo, or on his name on his sweatshirt. And we did ask at that moment to have the name, even though it was just his name, we asked him to take it out of the photo. So I know there's rumors and questions and things going around about it. I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah. All right, is there any more new business? Assuming there's no workshop. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
You said that there was, well, was this the person that's impersonating a trustee by chance?
No,
Okay.
no.
I've seen that one too.
With that said, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Who is the trustee that's being impersonated?
No, it's a resident that wore a there's a resident who is wearing a badge that says trustee of Homer Glen, who is not a trustee of Homer Glen, attending events and pretending that they are one of us. And which, to me, that sets a bad precedent because, will you stop?
Sorry.
Thank you. Because of getting different attorney opinions, and I just asked Attorney Pasquarelli today, so he's going to look into it, and different attorneys have said, there's nothing you can do about it, and then some say, yes, it's just like, kind of like impersonating an officer, but that's a little bit of a stretch. But to me, impersonating one of you is not right. So, yeah.
Did
See the little
it
finger.
say trustee for, because I don't
It
want to
says
interrupt you. Did it
Village
say
of Homer Glen trustee.
Trustee Village of Homer Glen?
It says
Or
village,
for?
no.
No?
It says Village of Homer Glen trustee, and a badge
Okay, I haven't
at
seen it.
events.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure this wasn't
Yeah.
one of those harassment things or something else that was somebody
That I get
was-
harassed every day?
that
No.
somebody was being impersonated somehow, and their name was being used, that's all. So I misunderstood what you said originally.
No.
Thank you for
Yeah,
clarification.
you're welcome.
And I apologize, Madam Mayor.
No, it's okay. It's a lot of that going. I'm sick tonight, so you guys got free range. Is there any more new business? Going once, Twice, all right. Workshop, none. Do we have to go in executive session?
I don't believe so. I think
Michael?
the attorney covered our situation with Lockport presently, so I don't think there's anything to add on that.
I mean, you guys can if you want to, I do
Can I say
not.
something on that, real quick?
Yeah.
I sat in that meeting with Lockport. It was, I thought it was very, very positive what came out of it. Mr. Westcott presented, handled most of the discussions at that point with their engineer, and it went very, very well, but Brett did a great job, so just to let everyone know.
Good job, Brett. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Reiners?
I will say.
Somebody needs a
Trustee Bielko.
fluffy pillow.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.